Bulldog, once again, I decided that I wanted to do a video presentation relating to the story in the Inquirer today as it relates to being called to Frankfurt on July 13th by federal judge Danny Reeves relative to sanctions on a lawsuit that I filed back in January, where I was attempting to stop bar proceedings against me as a result of some very, how should I say this, conflict of interest behavior from my trial commissioner. In a nutshell, and many of you have already heard this, I found out in the middle of my bar proceeding that the complaining party on one of my charges actually paid the law partner of my trial commissioner $25,000 to finish up a case where I was paid $1,500. Now, before I filed this federal lawsuit, Ashley Bolender, myself, Stan Billingsley, who is a retired judge who runs a legal research service, and myself did a lot of legal research. We drafted the lawsuit and we filed it. Now, when it was the judge refused to issue the preliminary injunction and basically chewed me out. And I decided at the time, I'm just going to dismiss this case and go home. The heck with this. And that's what I did. He asked me to show cause why I shouldn't be sanctioned. And in January, I filed an extensive affidavit showing all my research. In addition to that, I pointed out that in my opinion, the judge or his law clerk had made a couple errors on some of the things that they said. And I stand by that. So what was very interesting is that was in January. So he didn't have to rule on anything. It was just a show cause. So just imagine this. February, March, April, May, June go by. I don't hear anything. I just assumed Judge Reeves decided that was it. But lo and behold, recently I got sanctioned by Judge Bertelsmann on a case, and I want to stress this. This is when I sued a prosecutor, Rob Sanders, and he and an associate in his office were involved in the prosecution of a black man that was held in the Kenton County Jail for 5 months, knowing that the eyewitness to the burglar said the burglar was white and wasn't black. And I am going to try to change the law in this country, if I have to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, that if a prosecutor knows someone is innocent, they should dismiss the charges or not prosecute them. Sounds like a reasonable law. Well, I had to pay, I'm appealing the decision that I have to pay $12,000 for the defense that Rob Sanders had to provide. And I'm going to appeal that. So, out of the blue, after Larry Forgy, who's now representing me, we filed another federal lawsuit against the Bar Association challenging two things. That in the middle of a trial commission or hearing, that if you find out there's a conflict, you should be able to have somebody decide it. Chief Justice Minton, who I have nothing against, declined to hear my request to remove the trial commissioner. And I respectfully think that that was wrong. And we also are challenging immunity. In my bar proceedings, which by the way, I have posted on my blog, I sent it out in a newsletter and everything else, it is unbelievable that, I mean, I shouldn't be charged with anything. And like one, for example, one I love to point out is fighting for my community. I file a lawsuit, stay up all night fighting for my community against the jail, and I named the wrong agent of service of process for the right defendant. Throughout the entire bar proceedings, the bar kept saying the defendant, which was wrong. There are countless absolute lies. That's right. The Bulldog is saying lies. That the Bar Council of the Kentucky Bar Association and my trial commissioner put in pleadings and documents. Absolute, complete lies. For example, I refute like over 20 pages of my brief, a certain charge, and the trial commissioner said, Mr. Deters does not even refute this charge. Are you kidding me? So let me tell you something. Frank Doney, the trial commissioner, is a dishonorable man. The Bar Council, Miss Gosnell and her associate who's prosecuting me, Sarah Coker, are dishonorable. They have lied. They have put false statements in a document. So now here's what I have. there is a movement afloat, and I can name the lawyers, and I can name some of the judges who have now participated. For example, Judge Bertelsmann sanctioned me in part. Get this. A law professor from Chase Law School sends a card to an associate of mine asking her, do you still work for him? She was so mad, she went over and talked to the dean. Judge Bertelsmann is mad that I wrote a letter in response to that note to that law professor, and I filed it as part of my defense to point out what's going on here. I am shocked that Judge Bertelsmann would think that I should not be mad that a law professor is trying to meddle in my employment of a young lawyer who loves working here, by the way. Anyway, so now Judge Reeves has called me down to answer for a sanction. And I want everybody to know I'm not scared. I'm not worried about it. In fact, I'm going to be drafting a written response to his order. And I look forward to going to federal court on July 13th with Larry Forgy. And I'm now finally getting to the point of why I'm trying to do this video. As reported in the newspaper by Judge Reeves in his decision, he's trying to make it look like I just go file lawsuits against everybody all day long without doing research or doing anything. Let me tell you something. I have 500 clients. My legal business is growing so much, I now have 10 lawyers. I have about 10 law clerks. I have 5 nurses that are reviewing medical cases for me. And let me tell you something, and I'm directing this to Judge Reeves. I turn down on a daily basis people that email me, people that call me, people that we meet with. We turn down cases all day long because they're not cases. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I have never filed a frivolous lawsuit. I have never filed a lawsuit without merit. And let me tell you something else. We defend every day baseless motions by defense attorneys who come up with arguments to try to dismiss cases that we successfully defend. And guess what? We don't file Rule 11 motions against the defense attorneys. Let me tell you something else about judges. Judges sometimes get overruled by Court of Appeals judges. You know what that means? That means another judge thought that they were wrong. Those judges don't get punished for being wrong. For example, on a famous police misconduct case that lasted 10 years, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed Judge Bertelsmann 2 times on the case for me. Twice. 2 times. I finally got a settlement. Judge Bertelsmann doesn't get in trouble when the Sixth Circuit thinks he is wrong. There is a standard developing in northern Kentucky, in the state of Kentucky, on my cases that basically requires me to be perfect. That I have to win. That if I'm not perfect or I don't win, well, we better sanction the bulldog. And this is remarkable when you think about the fact that over the last few years, I have far more cases in Ohio, including the federal district, Southern District of Ohio, than I do in Kentucky. And you know what? I don't get Rule 11 motions filed against me. I don't get sanctioned by judges. And what's happened here is it started out with a small group of lawyers, and it's grown and grown and grown. And now, and I'm going to be very candid with you, judges have now joined Let's Get Eric Deters. And I'll be very candid with everybody. First of all, once again, I'm not losing any clients. I'm gaining clients. And you know why? Because my clients, and many of you watching this probably are saying to yourself, isn't it nice to have a lawyer that has guts enough to fight for the little guy day in and day out? You can go to ericdeters.com and see what I'm talking about. How can a lawyer who's been voted the best lawyer in Cincinnati, the #1 lawyer profiled on martindale.com after 1.4 million, the lawyer that has tried more plaintiffs' cases according to Kentucky Trial Court Review the last 10 years in Kentucky is me? How come a lawyer that is that accomplished and also is the only lawyer that I know, the only lawyer I know in the tri-state that has successfully tried medical malpractice cases to a verdict, police misconduct cases to a verdict, successfully defended felony criminal cases. By the way, Rob Sanders, I've tried 2 cases against his office, and I've won both of them. You know what? I do criminal cases, employment cases, police misconduct cases, personal injury cases, class action cases. No lawyer in the tri-state does all of those kind of cases. And my office and my staff and my associates do it very well. Are we perfect? No. Are we more successful than we are as far as losing? Absolutely yes. But I just want everybody to know, Larry Forgy, who is my friend who is now defending, used the word cabal, that there's now a cabal against me. And you know what? There is. There is a cabal with lawyers and now even some judges to try to, quote unquote, destroy my legal career. The purpose of this video is to just let everybody know I'm going to be just fine. Because nothing that I'm doing is wrong. I worked very hard. By the way, this is one thing that I wonder about with Judge Reeves. I work 20-hour days. I live on naps. I'm the hardest working lawyer that I know. I am a credit to my profession. And I refuse to let Judge Reeves or anybody else to try to paint a picture that I'm some kind of sloppy, incompetent attorney. Because nothing is further from the truth. And you know what? There isn't a single lawyer in the state of Kentucky that I am in fear of trying a case or going up against. But let me tell you something. The Kentucky Bar Council, in my opinion, is out of control. And I've got the guts enough to fight them. So, that's my video defense of me. Some people might say, thou doth protest too much like Shakespeare. No, 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 no. I am going to fight back. I'm not going to make the mistake of being quiet and saying no comment while the train rolls over me. And let me tell you something. I'm going to be putting in the record in the case that Judge Reeves has called me to on July 13th. A lot of good facts. And guess what? I'm looking forward to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals to review that decision. Because let me tell you something. I've won and I've lost. Actually, I've won more than I've lost in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. But they are always fair. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals that sits in Cincinnati is always fair. I'm going to appeal Judge Bertelsman's sanction to him, and I'll be appealing the sanction that Judge Reeves. I am proud to be a lawyer. I'm proud to be the bulldog. I can't help that the cabal is out to get me because they're jealous of my success, that I'm on the radio, that I'm quote-unquote too big for my britches. They want me to cower. They want me to run and get back on the porch. They want me to go underneath the porch. The bulldog is not going to do that. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Remember what the bulldog says. Every dog has their day. I hope tomorrow is yours.